Hello everyone and welcome to the first video of 2022. Today I have a Walter Randolph Wraith, and this one was, I've been watching Walter's work, and I've owned quite a few pieces from him before, and you know I think one of the biggest progression that I've seen from his work is in terms of the action, and the mechanism has improved. And Walter has told me that he improved his geometry, etc. In terms of fit and finish, it was quite good before, and it's excellent right now. So let's go through, what makes it so nice. And the first thing is that, I really love slimmer knives from the start. And Walter, in the beginning, used to make larger, bigger knives, kind of like Michael Birch. And over time, he starts to slim them down, and this is, one of the newest models. And you can see, the profile is quite slim. It's very ergonomic, it fits in the hand quite well, very well actually. And there's like a little, curve at the end which locks your hand in very nicely. So I think, I'm definitely going to have to get more Wraiths. So I think let's start with the blade again. The blade is made of intemperate Damascus. Walter also etched his logo in there, though it blends in quite well with the blade, so I don't mind so much. On this particular piece, I've seen him do other Wraiths as well, but I can't tell but how thick the blade stock is, but this piece is particularly thin blade stock, which I really love. I think it dramatically increased the cutting ability of the knife. The performance of it is very lovely. When actually, when I say cutting ability, it's not just how sharp the edge is, because you can have a really sharp knife but a thicker stock, which means you can slice paper well, but you can't really, if you cut cardboard, it's much more difficult. I haven't cut cardboard with this one yet, of course, but the thinner blade stock, and just on like the few things that I did try on lightly, it works so much better than his previous knives. So that is one big upgrade for me, on this newer model, that the blade stock is thinner. I'm not entirely sure if he does it for everything in his new models, but at least in this one, definitely very lovely. Let's check out the bolster, black Damascus, and the scale is zirconium, so it's quite a hefty piece. You can see that Walter doesn't use any CNC machines, so he does this all with manual machines, and the fitment is very good. Just doing like this, you can't feel the transition between the materials. Everything is very tight. Yep, just very lovely. And Walter's work is super well contoured, so everything just feels so smooth and nice all around. For those of you who've owned, a Gary McGinnis, you would know what I'm talking about. It's got a similar feel to that. It's very comfortable. It retains like the sharp look edges, but it's really comfortable in the hand. It's so soft. And let's check out, the pivot. I think this is by far my, the favorite pivot design that I've had from Walter. It looks so cool, and like sometimes he does inlays, but I asked him in this particular one, just leave it blank. So this pivot is made from zirconium, so you can see the satin ring on the outside, and then the inside it looks like it's been blasted, which is a really nice contrast. It's just beautiful. Same thing for both sides. Excellently done. Let's see, the fitment all around is just very, very nice. Pretty much perfect. Check out the centering. It's right on. I haven't noticed on, his very, like my first Walter Randolph did not have this type of, lock bar cutout. It was one big chunk. This one is more similar to what Lee Williams does, and I really love it. I think it's much stronger just because there's so much less material taken out. So, even though there are thin parts here, it's much less fragile to bending, which is really cool. I love that design. And as for the pocket clip, a lot of times he uses the standoffs, and the clip would be actually floating up a little bit. It won't be touching the scale. I've had, I didn't exactly have issues on the past when I carried the other knives, but this one works a lot better. So that's also another thing that I requested. He was very kind enough to do it like this for me, and it works perfectly. One hand in and out of the pocket, no problem at all. Back spacer, I believe it's black tie Damascus as well, to match all of the scales and the bolster. And I chose the material because black Damascus is essentially zirconium mixed with different alloys of titanium. So you can see the black parts is also zirconium, so it kind of flows in very, very beautifully. And then the zirconium pivot, which tops it off. So I've always wanted a slim knife, cuts very well, very good action, and this delivers on all fronts. It's got one of the most addicting actions that I have handled to date. And this flipper tab style is also, I love, this is like a push button style, and it works so well. Oh yeah, flips out pretty hard. Not sure what, I've heard someone compare it to Rexford. I would say it's different because is it fast? Yes, it's quite fast. It's not the fastest. It doesn't hurt your finger at all. So this is the type of jimping that you can. It's not gonna destroy your finger. You can flip it all day, but it's enough just to make you not slip from the tab. And this is the lockup. Oh, check out the plunge grind. Very nicely done. But anyways, the lockup is from, I think out of every single maker that I've handled knives from, I think this lock bar that's done by Walter is the most comfortable to do the lock release. Just the amount of pressure you have to bring back, and absolutely like zero. It feels like the lock bar is floating, yet there's absolutely no side-to-side play anywhere. This part is like, it's like he spent, this is like the most precise part of the knife, and it just feels so good. The knife is like a hydraulic smooth, as some would say. It's not a drop shot glass smooth knife, and I prefer this one for sure. This is super buttery smooth. It's just so fun to play with. You can just play with it all day. This one is also not too loud, so if you have family members in another room, I don't think they'll be annoyed, which is an added bonus, I guess, um, for those of you who would like to fidget with their knives the whole day. And mechanics wise, in Walter's older pieces, I'd say definitely around 2017, maybe 2018, I've had issues with centering and even going off center or not being as smooth. But one I got in 2021, I had two pieces in 2021. They were both excellent. Absolutely no issues. You can flip them the whole day. This one's still new, so I didn't put it through its paces yet, but my previous one, it must have had thousands and thousands of flips. It feels exactly the same as if it was new. So that's that's just amazing. There's not so, and then a lot of knives, when you put oil and the detent ball and it slips into the lock face, it kind of creates like some sort of stick or some weird feeling on it, and you have to keep cleaning it up. This one, no issues at all. I never really had any lock. I never had lock stick actually. It just feels perfect from the get-go. All of the pieces that I get from Walter. So I think definitely it is a standout piece. And I feel like at one point Walter used to be very popular. His knives going higher and higher, reaching the 10K mark. And now it's been dropping a bit. So I'm not sure what the recent shows, what the pieces have gone for. But it's probably roughly half that. I'm not entirely sure why, because there are a lot of newer makers. I don't want to name names, but let's just say they're more like a newer upcoming maker that a lot of people love. They get a lot of followers, but you can just see in their work it's not nearly as good as what Walter does. And they go for it's the same price or even higher, which for me doesn't really make sense. So I feel like a lot of people who are in the knife collecting is missing out on Walter's pieces, because Walter himself is he's a quiet man. He doesn't do too much social media. He posts quite regularly about his new builds, but he doesn't promote it. I think a lot of makers do the community thing. They engage a lot with customers. About they're just very good with communication, essentially. And some of them even better, just tells customer how difficult it is, what the tolerances are needed to make something like this. Walter just doesn't do that. So I feel like a lot of people don't know how precise and how top-notch the knives that he makes actually are. I'd say he's really, really, really up there with one of the best for sure. If you've been collecting for a little while, like 5 years and up, you would know his quality of work. But if you're newer, 1 to 2 years, I think that a lot of people is just missing out on his work and spending money elsewhere. So I think that wraps it up. If you can get something from Walter, I highly recommend finding something that's around at least 2020 and upwards. The work is splendid. It's extraordinary. Very, very well done. His coloring, his finishing, at least this one, the new blade stock, which is thinner, cuts extremely well, much better than his previous ones. And yeah, that wraps it up. If you have a chance to grab a Walter Randolph, I highly doubt that you'll be disappointed, because I think his work is really amazing. All right. Thank you very much for watching.